ISAGI YOICHI, Michael Kaiser, and shidou ryusei have all scored insane goals within this match. However, Itoshi Rin has pretty much had little to no impact so far. Last chapter ended off though with an intense look on his face, and only one wish: to kill ISAGI YOICHI. What's going on, everybody? My name is Animasu, and today I'll be covering Blue Lock chapter 268 for you all, titled Pressure. If you enjoy Blue Lock and want to stay up to date, please be sure to click that subscribe button, comment below for the algorithm, and feel free to join my community Discord if you'd like to interact directly. With that, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and let's hop right back into the NEL's most anticipated matchup. Today's chapter starts off with intro text as usual, which says, "Even the Ubers players can't help but be in awe of Kaiser's super goal." The first page indeed shows us the reactions of all the important Ubers players like Lorenzo, Aiku, Barou, basically everyone who's locked into the top 23. Except for Fukaku Gin, who really knows. I'd honestly prefer Ryu to be the backup goalkeeper instead. The true first panel of this chapter though is showcasing in-universe tweets, as people from all over the world are also reacting to Kaiser's Magnus impact. Most of these seem to have been translated properly, as people are mostly just calling him the GOAT, Roberto Carlos, all that. But sadly the one slandering Ness is just pure fiction. The actual translation, thanks to a redditor in the Blue Lock community instead, seems to be praising Ness for his assistance with that goal, possibly being a hint from the author that Alexis still has some fire to cook with this match. Anyways, we then get a close-up of everyone's unique reactions, with Sendo first claiming that while Kaiser's goal was befitting of an emperor, he still refuses to lose to him. Ryu, however, is obviously complimenting how flashy and super Michael's celebration was, as he quite actually posted up showing off his tat, reaching for the heavens. Nico is analyzing how Bastard Munich's attack has improved much more without Kaiser obsessing over Isagi. We even see Aiku and Lorenzo's reactions here at the bottom. Oliver is just pointing out how much stronger BM has gotten since they faced off, but Lorenzo? This man is gobbling popcorn like usual, making a huge mess. He agrees that Michael has gotten a lot stronger, and with that goal, he believes his value will shoot up to 500 million yen. He sings this out while taking on the most goofy look, continuing to let popcorn fall all out of his mouth on the floor. Ryu and Sendo are actually the people to try and stop Lorenzo's outburst, each trying to hold one arm down and calm him down. Barou would be the person to lecture him about being clean normally, but our king is far too locked into this matchup on the screen. His obsession with Isagi seems to even overrule his maid-like attitude, because his eyes are glued to the TV while Lorenzo freaks out in the background. The chapter then actually cuts to Noah and Loki chilling on the bench, as Julian asks if this evolution of Kaiser's was intended by Noah. After all, he seems to have a good grasp on ego types and categories, because he's allowed Isagi a ton of freedom while doing the opposite with Kaiser. Noah even goes on to admit that this was all part of his plan, further on to ask Loki if he should really worry about BM when PXG are currently falling apart at the seams. Loki, however, doesn't seem too concerned, and simply just says whatever happens, happens. No matter what though, he believes that the impish trickster, Charles Chevalier, will undergo another evolution soon enough. We then cut over to PXG's side of things and their reactions to Kaiser's goal. Shidou is firstly seen screaming out in excitement and amazement. We already know that all he cares about is explosions and dope shit. However, Karasu tells them all to calm down and listen close. The first plan of action is to peel kunigami off shidou ryusei, because this will allow them far more chances with their dual striker formation. Funny thing I just realized is Karasu has never even met or played kunigami, which is just why he calls him the musclehead gorilla. It seems like their plan is to utilize Zantetsu's acceleration to help unmark Shidou. However, when asking if he's good to go, our Toaster Brain Speedster says full course instead of course. Tokimitsu and Nanase, however, are far less calm, because with them depending on Itoshi Rin for value, they're currently going on a rate to lose and not even make the top 23. They need to figure out a plan and switch things up now. Nanase even tries to approach Itoshi Rin himself and ask for help, but with sweat dripping down his face and a cold expression, Rin just tells him to shut his damn mouth. He even goes on the monologue about how BM's momentum just keeps on snowballing, and with even us seeing Ryuichi hyping his team up and Kunigami still locked in, PXG are really feeling the pressure here. The situation just continues to grow worse for them though, because while glaring at Kiyora and Hiyori, Rin comments on how the Blue Rose's evolution has brought forth a whole new style of offense to Bastard Munich. We even see Ness here in a blacked out section of the page with his back turned, which makes me think he might not be doing so well at the moment. Looking back over towards the dual aces of Kaiser and Isagi though, Rin comments on how their chemical reaction is still incomplete. One thing I noticed too is that Kaiser seems to be drawn a lot more intensely post-awakening, but maybe that's just me reading too much into it and becoming delusional. Anyways, with the game finally restarting, Itoshi Rin tells Nanase to follow his lead, because if they're going to have a chance at destroying Bastard Munich, it has to be now, before they complete their puzzle. We can see Shidou and Zantetsu absolutely hauling ass forward, as Rin then makes the first pass back over to the country bumpkin Nanase. Nanase immediately traps this pass and is thinking about linking up with Rin, However, ISAGI YOICHI hauls ass towards him right off the bat, giving him no time to breathe. Nanase of course is confused and taken aback by this demon press, and we see him raise his arm and try to shield off the ball with his body. Unfortunately for this little guy, Yohiyori arrives from his right side, making this a two-man press that he cannot combat. Being forced into a corner and not having the capability himself to get free, Nanase ultimately decides to pass off towards Rin, as he never expected BM to be so aggressive. Just before the ball could reach Rin though, in comes Michael Kaiser flying through the air, intercepting and reading the pass perfectly. The Emperor then begins to charge forward with the ball now in his grasp, as Nanase screams out and apologizes to Rin, promising to get the ball back. Rin, however, is more worried about analyzing the situation, as he first believes Kaiser and ISAGI were working together there. With Hiyori and ISAGI then both screaming out about not having the ball, he quickly realizes that BM's dual aces wouldn't dream of working together. Kaiser instead stole that pass completely on his own, as he and ISAGI are like a dragon and a tiger, battling one another for the spot of apex predator. Instead of attempting to work alongside one another to create chemical reactions, ISAGI and Kaiser are instead clashing their top performances against one another and are dominating PXG this way. We can also see ISAGI trailing just behind Kaiser here, who seems to be just approaching Kurisu Tabito. Zantetsu and Tokimitsu are both even stressed out and getting tired, and it's gotten so bad that Kurisu literally tells the team to not worry about getting a card. They just need to do everything in their power to halt the attack. The perspective then changes over to Itoshi Rin. We clearly see frustrated with the current situation. With his teeth clenched and him having flashbacks, he monologues about how ever since the U20 game, all he's thought about was destroying ISAGI YOICHI. He's devoted every waking second and drop of his energy to prepare for this match, so that he could defeat his rival. Despite all his hard work and effort, Rin still knows that he's nowhere near the previous form he attained. That state of concentration. Bloodlust. Rin knows he needs to once again attain that berserker form to take down Itoshi, Sai, and ISAGI. Flashbacks are shown from his matchup versus Sai during the U20 match, where we're basically shown every instance of him tapping into that destroyer mode. Despite all this yapping from Rin, the next page has him admitting that at the rate he's going, he'll once again lose to ISAGI YOICHI. We're seeing the most defeated version of him ever, because he admits that not only is ISAGI growing faster than him, but it's also impossible for the current him to see a path to victory. As Rin is ranting on about his emo lover tangent, we can see in the background Zantetsu's managed to knock the ball away from Kaiser. Possession ends up right back in BM's possession though with Yohiyori, who with one touch, passes the ball right off to ISAGI, who traps it perfectly. Rin is once again shown though with a worried expression, thinking about how his revenge, his obsession, everything he holds on to will be obliterated here. With his broken toys even being shown from when Sai left, Rin is slowly sinking back into the void, and believes everything will soon be destroyed. Now there's a reason I made note of those broken toys, because as we turn to the next page, Rin's berserker aura can once again be seen emitting from all around. If you look closely, you can see teeth, eyes, and even a horn that seem to be from Rin's childhood toys. This makes me think that his berserker form and aura is truly flawed at a core, and some sort of amalgamation of his childhood toys that he broke. Unlike his unique flowing water, this aura still shows Rin holding onto his obsession and past with Sai. And honestly, there could be part of his water aura within this, it could just be darkened water, I'm not really sure. Anyways, the final page shows ISAGI acknowledging Itoshi Rin's presence and challenging him to just try and stop him. Rin on the other hand admits that he needed this pressure from ISAGI to bring out his dominant berserker form, but as we already know, this unhealthy obsession is exactly what restricts Rin's skills. With both players in the flow state and using their respective abilities, we finally get to see the matchup we've all been waiting for. ISAGI YOICHI vs Itoshi Rin. Number 1 versus number 2. Metavision versus the berserker. Anyways, we then get some outro text as always, which reads, "Is it an evolved monster, or is it an enraged berserker hellbent on massacring everything in his path? It's now kill or be killed. An unpredictable bloodbath is about to begin." This clearly is just setting up for Rin versus ISAGI and leaving us theorizing, so let me just straight up ask you all, do you all think that Itoshi Rin will be able to do good enough in this half berserker state, or will ISAGI finally get it through his thick skull that his obsession is what's limiting him? With that being the last page of today's chapter though, all that we're left with until next week's chapter 269 is its upcoming title, It's Not Just You. I'm willing to bet money that this refers to PXG or ISAGI finally showing Rin that he cannot succeed alone. Just like in the U20 match when first activating this berserker state, Rin feels disgusted by his rivals, allies, everyone besides himself. Just like in the U20 match too, if he keeps this up, ISAGI will be the person leaving with all the glory. Anyways, with that being the end of today's video, I just want to thank you all so much for your continued support and kind comments. I really appreciate everything you've all done for me, and I'm sorry I'm not the best content creator and that this video was late, but I'm really trying to lock in. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I hope to see you soon.